Picture this for a second. You've just landed your absolute dream job overseas. Or maybe you're finally pulling the trigger on that retirement beach house in Costa Rica. You've got your bags packed, you're hyped for the new adventure, but then, bam, you hit a massive roadblock. The foreign government looks at your Texas birth certificate or your university diploma and they say, yeah, we can't accept this. It needs an apostille. Complete panic sets in, right? Well, take a deep breath. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're giving you the ultimate step-by-step guide to getting that VIP passport for your documents, the Texas Apostille. Look, if you're feeling totally overwhelmed right now by all this bureaucratic jargon, you are definitely not alone. The whole process of authenticating documents for international use, it sounds incredibly complicated. It's full of confusing terms, rigid rules, and lots of red tape. But I am here to tell you that getting your documents accepted internationally absolutely does not have to be a nightmare. Honestly, when you break the whole thing down, it's just a really clear sequence of steps. So before we jump into the how, let's quickly cover the what. What actually is an apostille? Simply put, it's a specialized certificate issued by the Texas Secretary of State that gets physically, permanently attached to your public record or notarized document. But here is the most critical thing to understand. The apostille only attests to the validity of the Texas official or the notary public who signed it. It does not validate the underlying contents of the document itself. It's literally just the state of Texas saying, yep, this notary or official, they are real, licensed, and in good standing with us.
Okay, let's dive right into this journey. We'll be hitting 6 key steps today: gathering your documents, verification and notarization, filing with the state, paying those fees, actually receiving your apostille, and finally, tackling some potential challenges.
Starting right off with step 1, gathering necessary documents. Gathering your documents sounds easy enough, but believe it or not, this is the very first place people trip up. We have to figure out exactly what kind of paperwork is even eligible for the Texas apostille process. Basically, your documents are going to fall into 2 main buckets: recordable vital records and non-recordable private documents. Vital records are things like birth certificates, death certificates, marriage certificates, and divorce decrees. If these are issued by a Texas city, county, or the state, and they're under 5 years old, you send them straight to the state. Boom. No notary needed. But on the flip side, we have private documents. Think powers of attorney, business contracts, or your college diploma. These absolutely must be properly notarized by a Texas notary public before the state will even glance at them. Now pay attention, because here is a huge pitfall you must avoid. Texas cannot, under any circumstances, apostille federal documents. If you got an FBI background check, a USCIS naturalization certificate, or an IRS letter, do not send it to Austin. They will just reject it. For any federal paperwork, you've got to go through the U.S. Department of State in Washington, D.C. Oh, and also, Texas can only apostille Texas documents. So if you've got a birth certificate from Florida, you need to be contacting the state of Florida, not Texas. Moving right along to step 2, verification and notarization. If your document does require a notary, listen closely, because this is where the vast majority of rejections happen if instructions aren't followed to the letter. A simple stamp and a signature, that is not going to cut it. The notary must include a proper notarial certificate, like an acknowledgement or a jurat, that actually describes the notarization they performed. It has to include the venue, like the state of Texas and the specific county, the date, the name of the signer, their official signature, and their personalized seal. And that seal, it must clearly show the words Notary Public, State of Texas around a 5-pointed star, plus their name and their commission expiration date. You also really need to watch how the rules change depending on exactly what you're submitting. This is especially true for school records. For example, if you're sending in an original transcript, it needs a specific statement of issuance and the original signature of a school official, like the registrar. But if you decide to submit a photocopy of that school record, the school doesn't sign it at all. Instead, you need a sworn statement of ownership signed by the student or the parent. In both of those cases, this signature must be perfectly notarized. It's a subtle difference, but it's crucial. Okay, step 3, filing with the Texas Secretary of State. So, your documents are gathered and flawlessly notarized. Nice job. Now we reach the real climax of this whole journey. To actually make the request to the state, you have to submit Form 2102, which is the request for universal apostille. When you're filling this thing out, you must, without fail, include the target destination country. Since late 2023, Texas issues just one universal apostille regardless of the country, but they still absolutely require you to state exactly where that document is heading on the form. As for how to get it to them, you've got two distinct submission options. If you're going the mail route, you'll send your packet to the Authentications Unit at P.O. Box 1350 in Austin. But if you're in a bit of a rush and prefer to handle things in person, you can use their walk-in service or schedule an appointment right at their physical address, 400 West 15th Street in Austin. Let's talk money. Step 4. Required fees and payment methods.
The absolute most crucial point here is making sure your payment is exact. If it's off by even a little, your documents will be returned untouched. Thankfully, the math is incredibly simple and surprisingly affordable. The state of Texas charges a flat fee of exactly $15 per document for a standard universal apostille.
But listen to me. How you pay that $15 matters immensely. You can use a check or a money order made payable to the Texas Secretary of State. I really have to warn you, though. Credit cards are absolutely not accepted if you are mailing your request in. No exceptions. If you just scribble down your credit card info and put it in that mailed envelope, they will just send the whole packet right back to you. All right, step 5, receiving the apostille. So you've submitted a flawless packet with the correct payment. Awesome. Now let's shift our focus to the timeline and logistics of finally getting that certified apostille back into your hands. Processing times vary wildly based on how you submitted it. If you utilize the walk-in or appointment service, they actually offer same-day processing for up to 10 documents, which is great. If you use their bulk drop box in Austin, expect a 24 to 48-hour turnaround. However, we really need to manage expectations for the most common method, standard mail. The state advises that mail-in processing can take up to 25 business days from the time they receive it, so patience is definitely key there. To actually get your document back, there is one absolute necessity you cannot forget. You must include a self-addressed, prepaid carrier label in your packet. Think FedEx, UPS, or USPS with tracking. The Secretary of State is not going to pay for your shipping, and they will explicitly reject any return labels that say bill sender. So provide the label, ensure it has a tracking number, and definitely keep a copy of that tracking number for yourself so you can watch exactly when your VIP passport is heading home. Finally, step 6, potential challenges and solutions. We are so close to the finish line, but let's prepare for any final hurdles by reviewing the absolute most common pitfalls. Forewarned is forearmed, right? The state rejects documents every single day for easily avoidable reasons. The most frequent mistakes include forgetting to actually sign the original document before you get it notarized, entirely omitting that destination country on Form 2102, forgetting the prepaid return envelope we just talked about, or trying to use a notary from outside of Texas for a Texas document. Please double-check all of these things before you seal that envelope. And depending on your destination, there might just be one final hurdle for your international journey. If your destination country is part of the Hague Apostille Convention, places like Spain, Mexico, or Japan, then this Texas apostille is the finish line. You're completely done. But if your destination is a non-Hague country like the UAE, Qatar, or Vietnam prior to late 2026, this Texas apostille is really just the first part of a much longer chain. You're then going to need to send it to the U.S. Department of State and then finally to that specific country's embassy for further legalization. Okay, before we wrap this all up, I do need to give you a quick disclaimer. This explainer is designed as a comprehensive educational guide to really help you understand the framework, but it is not formal legal advice. Bureaucratic rules can and often do shift around, so always verify the current legal processes and requirements directly with the Texas Secretary of State, or consult a qualified legal professional for your own specific situation. So, I leave you with this final question. Are your documents ready for their international journey? By following this structured step-by-step checklist we went through today, you can totally bypass the confusion, ensure perfect notarizations, and conquer the Texas apostille process with absolute confidence. Gather your papers, double-check those notary seals, and get ready for your next big global adventure. Keep learning, stay organized, and we will catch you in the next explainer.